we're back with a major development in the Diddy case. If you've been following along, you already know I've been using the spotlight to talk about missing and exploited children in general, and haven't been discussing the Diddy case specifics as much. The grisly details about what these alleged victims claimed happened doesn't need to be regurgitated or glorified. We know there are numerous victims who were not adults at the time that they were allegedly victimized, and some who were not even teens yet. That's all we need to know. The judge and jury obviously need the evidence and details, but we don't. However, I think this most recent update is worth covering, since the kind of evidence this man Courtney Burgess has given to the FBI not only confirms that there was legitimacy to the late Kim Porter's tell-all book, but there's also confirmation of some of the young celebrities who are suspected to have also been victimized. The tell-all book, called Kim's Lost Words, was taken down from Amazon after Diddy's children and Kim's ex-husband, Al Bashir, publicly denounced it and made some kind of legal demand for Amazon to remove it. Many thought that this meant it was fake and doubted the author's claims as to how the diary pages were obtained. But now the tables have turned.
His name is Courtney Burgess, and he says a friend gave him 11 flash drives that belonged to the late Kim Porter. And if you follow this story, you'll know that Kim Porter is Diddy's ex-girlfriend and the mother of 4 of his kids. On those drives, the witness says 8 videos featured 8 celebrities at Diddy freak offs or parties, and that 6 were males, 2 were females. The drive also included a manuscript of an alleged Kim Porter memoir, a memoir that her 4 kids insist is fake. You're aware of surreptitious cameras that were recording in private places like bathrooms.
I didn't see the cameras. You could tell how the person was angled. I knew that it was a camera there because I was there. You know, I wasn't there. I don't know if the person was too tall, he was holding it or whatever, but I wasn't there.
May I ask you this, Courtney? And Ariel, you can jump in on this as well, but I want to hear from Courtney first. Your home was raided by federal authorities, and I assume it is because of this material. Is that true?
I wouldn't say that. They just went to every one of them looking for me. They said, the paperwork said the 24th, that I had to be there the 28th, and then it was the 27th. I said, I can't make it there, that's tomorrow. So I don't know. From the look of it, it was 4 days.
And I want to be specific. When we talk about a raid, we're talking about when a subpoena is served for documents, a search warrant or an arrest warrant. In this situation, Mr. Burgess was not in any way, shape, or form had a search warrant or an arrest warrant issued for him. It was just them serving a subpoena. So when the federal government needs to serve a subpoena, they use the Marshal Service to come to all of your residences if you have more than one residence. So in this situation, they sent marshals to all of Mr. Burgess's residences, and that was somehow construed or understood or turned into a raid, but he did not face a raid. It was just to serve him a subpoena.
Ariel, do you believe that the subpoenas were issued and executed based on the federal authorities' knowledge that these flash drives existed and had this kind of compromising material?
I think it was based on statements that Mr. Burgess made in a prior interview.
When you looked at the flash drives, who were the young artists?
Usher, Justin Bieber, Will Smith's son.
Nancy Grace is talking about it. Candace Owens. Suddenly Todd's doing all these interviews. You've got discs that prove that he is a predator. Why not contact the FBI and just turn over the videos? Kim Porter, according to the official record, she's written a memoir. It's kind of like diary entries, kind of like a memoir. She's written a bunch of them. There are multiple flash drives. Prior to her death, she gave it to some friends. One of those friends, shortly after, was it like the day after, approached you?
I got it like 3 months before the first one. And then I sat on it for the other 3 months and a half.
Do you want to say who the friend is?
Well, I can't say the friend is. Everybody should know. Well, when the friend did, she called me and said, "What you do with the stuff?" I said, "I did do something." I said, I released the book. I said, "I got them all pressed up. I just didn't put it out."
What was on the flash drives? Did you look at the flash drives?
I looked at some of them, but I couldn't look because if you watch two men having, that means you just stuff.
This not only potentially confirms statements made by other witnesses, but gives further credibility to the claims made by those who were not adults at the time they were allegedly victimized. That is, if this media is found to be real and is admissible in the court of law. This new evidence, along with the hundreds of hours of video and audio allegedly captured by music producer Rodney Jones during his time working with Diddy, who also claims to have been witness to incidents involving teenage victims, allegedly, on top of the mountains of evidence obtained through the raids, I really can't see how Diddy's going to be able to squirm his way out of this.
When it showed Usher and Will Smith's son and Justin Bieber, I mean, were they underage at the time?
I tried to go by his tattoos for Justin Bieber age, but at the time it started from when he could have been 16 because he was real. He didn't have all the tattoos on it. He had the little shaggy hairdo in the front. I forgot the bob, whatever the girls call it, hanging in front of his head. And Game handed him a bottle. Like, wouldn't nobody do that the bottle. Game walks around Diddy, hand him the bottle, he drink it, and they like blew him down off his feet. You understand? You could say he wasn't 17. I don't know if you understand, he ain't too far out of Pampers. So, what I mean by that, he definitely wasn't 17 or 18. I could say he was pushing 16 hard or early because how he was dressed and how he was, I could say he probably about 16 or 15.
They can't all be lying, and I guess time will tell about whether or not the tapes are legitimate. But as always, do your own research and draw your own conclusions.
8 videos, 8 celebrities, 6 men and 2 women. How many of those 8 celebrities were close to being underage or potentially underage?
2 males.
2 males. And of those 8 celebrities, how many of them were intoxicated or under the influence of drugs?
This is going to be all speculation. I just want to preface it by he wouldn't know if they were. Right.
Sure.
Appeared to
Let
be.
me rephrase it.
Based on, yes.
Understand. Out of the 8 celebrities who were recorded having intimate relations with Sean Combs, how many of them appeared to be either inebriated or intoxicated or under the influence of drugs?
All of them. All of them.
Out of those 8, how many appear to be potentially victimized? How many might have been victimizing?
I think all, to be honest, all.
Were victims or
victims.
were perpetrating?
Victims.
They were all 8 were victimized,
yeah,
meaning
victim.
This was happening to them and they were inebriated.
Right. Not knowing, I guess, how much proof it was in it, what they was doing.
And of those 8, how many seemed to be potentially minors?
2 to 3, possibly 3.
2 to 3.
I moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to
City.
something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's
Camp.
what it was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In
to
the 90s, do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I
Come
mean,
on.
but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you
I
seeing?
went there to see the lifestyle,
Right.
And I saw it, and it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't
But
say
you
that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand it.
Biggie Smalls was there.
Biggie Smalls was there, Lil' Kim, Craig Mack.
All these people are hanging around.
Yeah, man, Faith Evans,
your parents
Jodeci,
were
Mary
okay?
J. Blige. They didn't know nothing about this shit.
Oh.
I was having a good time, you know what I mean?
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 in the morning with them and party?
I mean, I could. I actually stayed up longer than them.
And what do you have money? What's going on?
I mean, I had like per diem. I had like,
What
like
a
a living.
life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
See?
It's all so awful to stomach, but if this means all who believe they were victimized by Diddy get their justice, I'm all for it. It also explains a lot for those who went on to struggle in their adult life as a result of whatever trauma allegedly occurred.
Involved in an accident overnight in California. Bieber had reportedly just come from a church event when he hit a photographer with his pickup truck in Beverly Hills. You're seeing the video there. The singer stayed on scene with the victim until police and paramedics arrived. Police say the photographer was taken to a hospital with a leg injury and is expected to be okay. No word of charges will be filed.
Breaking news right now, Justin Bieber, the singer and teen heartthrob, arrested early this morning for drag racing and DUI in Miami Beach. You're looking at a live shot.
Case this afternoon is Justin Bieber.
This afternoon, though, the grin was gone. In the courtroom video appearance from jail, Bieber alternated between striking bad boy poses and just looking scared. This was one TV spot his publicist couldn't control.
DUI, alcohol, or drugs? Resisting without violence?
Love you, Justin!
The official report says Bieber cursed at police, wouldn't submit to a search, and later acknowledged consuming alcohol and drugs. And he's still under investigation in Los Angeles for throwing eggs at a neighbor's house. Police there found cocaine in his mansion last week. For now, the famous Canadian is free on $2,500 bail. Whether he'll be allowed to remain in America, having admitted drug use, is an open question. Neil McDonald, CBC News, Washington.
I was 15 when I was drawn into his orbit. I was picked up on the street by one of his fixers. He promised to make me a star because he said I had the right look to be artist, but instead, I became his prisoner, a sex slave in a world where his rich and powerful friends indulged in the kind of things most people cannot even imagine. At first, it was kind of, fun. I was introduced to big names in the industry, got invited to exclusive parties, and took selfies with famous pop stars. But as I got closer to Diddy, things began to shift. The parties I attended weren't just about having fun. They were private gatherings where the rules of the outside world didn't apply. The rules were that you had to break the rules. Young people like me, models, aspiring artists, and actors, were brought in, told we were special and chosen, but we were just pieces of meat. I met Justin when he was still a 15-year-old kid, around the time he was hanging out with Diddy and Usher. I think I was drawn to him because of how overwhelmed he seemed, almost more shocked by what was happening around us than I was. He wasn't like the others. He still had this innocence, and I could see he was trying to make sense of it all, just like I was. But I think it was his innocence that attracted the pervs too. He was their favorite. Everybody had to have a piece of Bieber. He used to kind of just zone the fuck out. My therapist says it's a form of disassociation. Some people do it when they are deeply traumatized. After a party, Justin would claim he couldn't remember anything, even when there were super famous people at the party like the Obamas, and they had both been intimately involved with him. You've got to understand what these parties were all about. They were sex parties, no holds barred. But it wasn't just consenting adults getting freaky. These were freak-off parties. The more deranged, the better. I'm talking stuff with kids and animals, violence, degradation, even murder. Diddy used to sit in the corner giving himself, pleasure. Or he'd sit in other rooms watching the action on hidden cameras. He loved it when the Obamas were there because he used to say Michelle was his favorite person in the world. She has a larger penis than Barack, and she loves minors. She raped Justin at least twice that I know about. But he used to claim he couldn't remember anything. I saw it happen once in the same room as me, and I have seen another time on tapes that are doing the rounds in the industry. Everything is on tape. I mean, everything. And it's not just the Obamas. I personally know 3 people. 3 people I'm 100% certain who died because Diddy's friends thought they couldn't be trusted with what they knew. This isn't about me. There are networks of abusers all over the country. Everybody knows about Jeffrey Epstein, but he was just one of many. I'm speaking out because of all the young people who are still trapped, who are given no way out. It's about exposing the hypocrisy of these people who hide behind their power, pretending to be role models while they destroy our lives. The world needs to know what really happens behind the scenes.
My gut tells me that Aaron Carter may have also been on these tapes. After attending a Diddy party in 2010, his life started to spin out of control, and by 2011, he needed to enter rehab. This is just speculation, of course. Make up your own mind on that one. But from what I gathered about everything that happened up until his untimely passing, almost 2 years ago to the day, this could very well be connected. I'll add a link to that full documentary in the description. Regardless of what did or didn't happen to Aaron, we 100% failed him as a society, especially in the last year of his life. May he continue to rest in paradise.
Also on the flash drives, Courtney, was what looked to be a manuscript written by, it appears to be a woman who had taken Kim Porter's private journals and had written a book. Is that accurate?
We don't know.
I
don't know how, yeah.
I don't know how, who wrote it, put it together, but it was from her when I spoke to her.
What you received on the flash drives, was it the completed book or was it notes from Kim Porter that later were made into a book?
It was completed. It's only 60, it's only about 54 pages. It was
Sure, and in the beginning, it says, Kim made me promise that if something happened to her, I would make sure this book became public to the world. The way Sean moved, I knew that was a promise I would have to fulfill. Kim knew I was a woman of my word, and this book was going to make it to print. So it sounds like it is a woman who wrote up the notes from Kim Porter. Does that sound accurate?
It's how you read it, yes. I haven't even read the book.
Do you know who the woman is?
No.
And to be clear, he received it in its complete form. So I think just to make sure we have some clarity here, the manuscript that Mr. Burgess received was already in its complete form. It's not that he edited it or changed anything.
Got it.
He did give it to someone else who then edited it, but that's not how he received it.
I put it on paper. I put it on the cover, and I gave it to somebody to get money, and they ended up dealing with Wade. And then I asked Wade, how did he get it? He said he got it from you. I said, you didn't get it from me. How do you get the book? He said, no, I got it. He inboxed me. Oh, I got it from, I bought it from someone, and somebody want to talk to you. He said, well, he said, private investigator, talk to him, since you don't have no problem. Then I told him, and we did business.
He said that Chris Todd was a private investigator. Chris Todd's he's a reporter.
Well,
he's
not a private investigator, whatever he is.
Yeah, he's a what do they call him? A journalist, whatever. Yeah,
journalism.
So you spoke with Todd. You guys went back and forth. Like, did he ask to see the flash drives?
I sent him one of the flash drives that came with the book where you see everything was legit, how he did it. Say I pressed it up. It was a joint deal together. You understand? So,
But did the flash drive you sent him have any of the videos on it?
I have no idea. But I sent him this. I don't know what happened to that book. It had pictures in it. It had him and Snoop holding hands under the table. He rubbed on Snoop's leg and hands. And then it had him in the mold with Leo. Leo girlfriend talks about like why you Diddy Jr. They had a lot of pictures.
Right.
With Biggie way back then when they was supposed to been beefing. That's why I call him a double agent. Him in the wrong mode with Andre Harrell. He got it on Amazon. He got Kim's face on the front of it. He took off of it and put Kim's face on it.
Okay.
And did his numbers. It did, I think the book itself sold it. So he played a part of it, a great part of it.
There's a link to the full audiobook in the description if you want to check it out.
Okay, so Ariel, did your client, Courtney, receive the book from the woman who seems to have written it, saying, I'm a woman of my word, and this book is going to make it to print?
I don't know if he received it from a man or a woman. He can answer that.
I received it from a man. I tell you, somebody she was dating.
Do you know if the notes from the book really were from Kim Porter?
It was, yes, because I spoke to her probably like 6 hours before I received it.
You spoke to Kim Porter?
Yes.
So Kim Porter.
Just saying hi.
Okay.
Just saying hi.
Okay, Ariel, go ahead and give me clarity on the timeline.
No, I'm trying to get him
Ariel.
to provide clarity of, was there a conversation with her?
No, I was talking
just...
to the person, and he said, hold up, this is Courtney, be right here. Let me say something to him. He said, I know him, put me on speaker. Then that's how we end up speaking.
And then later, somebody else came and brought you the manuscript.
Right. Before I left ATL.
So I did read some. I did look at it. I did do the book. The original book was this right here.
Right.
Tell it all, what you know thing. I gave it to my private investigator, Todd. You understand? Real good guy.
Well, okay, so wait. So a few months after you pressed up a bunch of books, and you tried to advertise the books to get them out there.
Right.
To get her memoir out there.
Right.
Because the memoir is super, sensational, right? It talks about multiple famous actors. You're saying you haven't watched all the videotapes. Do you know how many videotapes were on there in the book?
It's like 11 flash drives, and each of them probably like big gigabytes of it. I know put into my computer too much because I didn't want all that in my computer. Then I got to download to another one. Then I take all my business with it. So it was I say it's probably like 8 to 7 different videos and more words writing to it. You understand? It was more like a diary that was going to be turned into a book at first. And it talked about her nose being broken, that he hated her, that he was messing with young boys. Talked about how he tore Usher ass up.
When you looked at the flash drives, who were the two? I know we spoke before. You said there were 2 young artists. One was Usher. Who was the other one?
One was Usher, and I believe the other one was definitely somebody's son. It was definitely somebody.
Okay, it wasn't. Before we talked, you said it was Justin Bieber.
Yeah,
I thought
it was him too, as well. It was Justin Bieber
and anybody else.
Will Smith's son too. Will Smith's son too. I ain't holding no punches. Yeah, it was Will Smith's son too.
And there were some young women.
It was females. I'm not good with everybody's name in the music business because I only listen to several different artists. But it was J-Lo. It was in there. It was the young lady that sued him. I can't remember her name.
Right, Cassidy.
I can't really tell how it's made. You got to really draw it in. It seemed like the camera was up in the light, shooting from a corner. Right. There was some in the bathroom. It showed that how they set Kevin Hart up. But see,
what do you mean set Kevin Hart up?
Oh, somebody came and gave him. That was the newest one. I'm mixing them up. The newest one I had got was like when Kevin Hart was in hosted his show, and they was in a bathroom, just him, and then a bodyguard came in there. Then he came out, and the girl bought him a drink. He tasted, and it's like he tasted when he tasted it, the second drink of the same glass. That's when he was coming to bottle it. like something was done. Then it showed him in the tub getting whacked. You understand? So that's what I switched it.
It's the symbolism. It's all of that. I'm tired of Usher. I wish somebody would come out and just like sue him. Like, we need Usher. No, we do. We need a victim to come out and be honest about him. Because what I'm realizing is that he's gonna fake the funk until the very end. He's just gonna keep on sucking the devil's. And I don't know, you know, like with a baby, that pacifier, sometimes you gotta pull it out. You know what I'm saying? And take it away, right? When the baby's used to sucking on the pacifier. That motherfucker gonna keep sucking on that shit until you do what? Till you take it out the mouth. Now it's gonna scream and holler, but eventually it will get used to the fact that his mouth is no longer full with that object. And that it's time to just, you know, learn how to live without it. He been sucking on Diddy's dick a long time. It's time for him to learn how to make this thing happen without the devil's dick in his mouth or ass.
Oh my God. You don't think if he sued, he'll just Lil Woody the situation and I don't recall? I don't recall.
No, because I think if a victim comes out against Usher, it'll show how egregious this shit is. Because if he can be a predator, then anybody can be a predator. Like, people look at Usher, they don't see that. They're not seeing the victim. They're not seeing that boy that got rushed to the hospital. They're not seeing what the intentions was in his heart when he took Justin Bieber there.
Oh.
Let's be honest. He took Justin Bieber there. Diddy had been trying to get to Bieber for a minute. And his management was backing him off. But it wasn't until Usher took over management and had guardianship and gave temporary guardianship to the diddler for 48 hours. Think about that. He had already been to the hospital. That situation that Gene was talking about. And you still took Bieber there. But you got custody of him first. Diddy had already tried. They wouldn't let him. Actually, someone made reference to the fact that Diddy trying to get at Bieber the way he was trying to get at Bieber was looking a little predatory. And then Usher came in and discovered it and managed him and got custody of him and promised to look after him. And then he sent him to the diddler. Does that sound like a good guy?
It's horrible.
Does that sound like a good guy? Now that we know what Diddy's really like. What kind of fucking asshole do you gotta be to take another boy, another talented boy, and put him in your place so it ain't gotta be you no more? Because that's what pedophiles do. They get victims, and then once they get to a certain age and they get too old for them to enjoy them, they send them out to go get other young kids. Now, if Usher is a procurer, and if Usher knew what was gonna happen to any of those young children that he took to the Flavor Freak off, is he a good guy? Especially considering what happened to him. Especially considering that he sat with fucking Howard Stern, and Howard Stern said, would you send your kids to Puffy's Flavor Camp? And his immediate response was, hell no! So it's good enough for everybody else's kids, but it's not good enough for yours. Yours are just good enough to die in Lake Lanier with no real investigation. Got it? Like, these aren't good people!
Oof. All right, Jeff.
He's not good. He's a fucking asshole. And the simple fact that fucking Justin Bieber literally made a public statement and said, Usher asked me to do the Super Bowl with him and I turned it down.
Run for the hills.
Why would he turn it down? Who turns down the Super Bowl? Everybody else was there. Fucking Alicia Keys was there singing Bad.
They come on a little touchy.
They did. That was the first note. I think you guys are gonna find that we got a lot further to go down the rabbit hole.
Oh, we do.
We just getting started. You realize that, right?
Oh, we do. Oh, we know.
To the best of your knowledge, Courtney, do you believe that the manuscript is truly based on Kim Porter's diaries? Because there is a lot of dialogue in there. It is pages and pages of actual dialogue, which, I mean, I can't remember breakfast today, let alone dialogue from 5, 10, 15, and 20 years ago.
I guess this is a woman's scar. You understand? Maybe, you know, what she been through. It's, you know, I'm not a woman, so I'm just going by how I got female friends and relatives. They always come to the house scoring because what went on in their relationship. And you can't, when you're scoring, you can't forget it.
Important to stop down here for a moment and note again that Sean Combs is accused. He has not been convicted of any crimes, and so far everything against him is an allegation until it is proven in a court of law and a jury either decides or he decides to sign a plea deal to any of these crimes. But at this point in the story, Sean Combs is not guilty of any crimes. He is currently under indictment. He is currently being held on bail. But if you're at all curious about how Courtney Burgess feels about Diddy today, I asked him about that too. And here's what he had to say. The story the tapes tell are the story of Diddy from the last several decades. And I know that you've known Diddy for a very long time. Can you describe what that story is based on what you now know to be true, the last several decades of Diddy's behavior and the reason he's now sitting in lockup?
I think I've been doing it for 35 years. I think we probably entered the music business at the same time. He entered with Uptown, I entered into Big Beat, Atlantic. At the time, I guess he was ambitious. He was then from ambitious went to doing anything, and then from doing anything to didn't care about nobody, who he could beat, and then he ended up turning into Lucifer. Today, I look at him. I know y'all call him Diddy or Puffy. I call him Lucifer.
Todd said it sold over $1 million.
Right.
It did over $1 million in gross sales.
Right.
So, and I know that it was within, let's say, 2 weeks, it was an Amazon bestseller. It was the Amazon bestseller.
Right.
And then, listen, everybody was talking about it. What's her name? Nancy Grace is talking about it.
Yes.
Candace Owens is talking about it.
Reading it.
Yeah, everybody's reading it. Todd is doing all these different. Suddenly, Todd's doing all these interviews. It was really blowing up there for a while, and then I guess Albie Shore got a hold of it, and he was very upset because of what it said about he and Sean Combs. You know what happened, what the memoir says happened between the act that happened between the two of them.
Right.
So he got upset, and then his lawyer sent out cease and desist letters to Amazon.
I seen that. It was mostly for Kim picture on the front of it, respect for their family. And I can understand it. That's their mother. But you can't be upset about what your mother did, what she did. I know she passed and gone. What about Tupac mother? What about Biggie mother? What about Craig Mack mother? What about Albie Shore mother? What about Heavy D mother? What about Black Rob mother? What about the coroner that did Kim test on her, his mother? There's a lot of mothers out there hurt.
May there be justice to all those who have lost their lives in what was alleged to involve Diddy and or his associates.
We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there, with all due respect, but I appreciate you as a journalist asking. Thank you.
Because listen, 7 years ago, I'd have been like, yo, did you hire somebody to kill Pac? But no, you do it like a journalist.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't even get into nonsense like that. You know what I'm saying? It's nonsense.
Which we never believed, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
A new bombshell in the investigation into who killed Tupac here in Vegas in 1996. The only man currently facing murder charges in the case, Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, claims that Sean Combs, also known as Diddy, paid for a hit on Tupac.
The plane crash that killed a rising star in the world of music and film. Reaction today after Aaliyah and 8 others were killed when their plane went down. Good evening, I'm Lauren Glassbergen for Sandra Bookman.
And I'm Tim Fleischer. The plane, just after taking off for Florida in perfect weather, suddenly plummeted to the ground. Investigators now saying one of the engines apparently failed.
Including the most recent Liam Payne incident, where he was found to have the same cocktail of substances in his system at the time of his passing that Diddy regularly dispensed at his parties, allegedly. This concoction was known as pink cocaine. I am working on a deep dive for Liam, while also reworking and getting ready to re-release the Brittany Murphy saga as well, since there were clear ties between Ashton and Diddy, and Brittany's passing was eerily similar to Kim Porter's. Brittany and Ashton dated for a time in the early 2000s, and he and Brittany attended events with Diddy. So many potential connections, so little time.
Diddy party stories, they're our favorite genre of anecdote, if you have one, yeah.
Wow, okay, I've got a lot I can't tell. So, I can't tell that one either. I mean, I'm like actually cycling through them.
May this be the event to shatter through the darkness and allow the light to shine through. May we begin to heal as a society and change our approach to how we treat those with mental unwellness and or a compulsion to self-medicate. May we all better understand complex trauma and the fallout it can cause in adulthood. I'm going to keep putting the pieces together to this giant puzzle. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the flip side.